you. Hi, good morning, everyone. Okay, nice to having everyone to come on board for today's webinar session. Okay, today's session is the second session for the IoT webinar, IoT for You 2021. Okay, so which brought to you by Malaysia IoT Association. Before we get started, okay, basically, would like to have bring your attention to a few items. As you've seen in this earlier slide, basically there are we have five distinguished guests from different country in the world. We have a guest from 6G World from US, and then Port Global from the Hong Kong, and also not to forget our Malaysia players, which you see here. Okay, Create IoT, Axiom Tech, and also Sunway Money. Okay, just before we bring the guests or the guest speaker on board, basically to run you through what who is perhaps some of you may not know about Malaysia IoT Association. My IoT basically come on board or come live in 2016, and basically as of now we have about 60 more than 60 plus of member. Okay, with the just before we bring the guests to realize the full potential of IoT as part of Malaysia digital economy. Okay, so the vision for my IoT basically to promote and then to get all the IoT members from Malaysia or from different part of the world to come together and then to proliferate the IoT innovation for the benefit of the industry. Before I go further, basically this is the agenda for today. Okay, basically we have these five speaker lined up. Okay, we start with Alex to look into this 5G world, and also then from there we will see how the innovation in the fintech world to get a better way to send your money to your loved one, especially in the time of the movement control order at this pandemic time. But after we have the more session on the fintech scenario, then perhaps we can move into our two distinguished guests to talk about very focused on the manufacturing and also how IoT how IoT innovation to benefit the postal services which is learning from the COVID pandemic. And the last but not least, and how to infrastructure is one of the key elements in the IoT ecosystem. So David from Port Group Asia Pac basically will tell us how the eSIM, okay, to foster or to accelerate the adoption of IoT. So after the five speaker, you will have the you can post. We will have the panelists Q&A session. So with that, we encourage you to submit all your questions as and when the speakers share their insights. Okay. Then after all the five speakers have done their round of sharing, then we will have the panelists, and then we will get the speaker or the panelists, the guest speaker, to respond to your questions as much as possible. If not all question is being responded, I think we will take it offline. Then we will respond to your questions via email. Okay. So without further ado, perhaps I will get Alex Lawrence from the managing editor from the panelists, and then which far from US, to share his insight on how to look the world beyond 5G. Over to you, Alex.
Great, thanks a lot, Shui. And hello to everybody. Thanks for having me on here. It's a pleasure to be speaking to you all today. I'm Alex Lawrence, and a few months ago I was recruited to run a news and media site called 6G World. Now, I'm sure you, like many of us, would be wondering exactly why And that would make sense. You know, we're just starting to roll out 5G, which has been hyped for years. Why on earth would we start talking about 6G when in many countries there is no such thing as 5G being deployed yet? So it seems a little bit crazy, but in the next few minutes, I hope to explain what persuaded me to do this job and why you should have 6G in mind too as well, no matter what industry or background you come from. So what is 6G? Nobody really knows yet, but people are starting to have ideas about what they'd like it to achieve, which is where hopefully you can see this slide from Ericsson. Some of the things that people have talked about is total worldwide broadband coverage, making an internet that's able to transmit touch, taste, and smell as easily as light and sound, or an environment that anticipates and responds to our personal needs, or it could be a digital safety net for the planet, or 3 separate digital safety nets for Europe, for the USA, and one for China. There are a lot of different visions, and they're probably all wrong. So if anybody comes and tells you what 6G is these days, just walk away slowly, because people tend to get offended if you laugh in their face. So maybe a better question then is, when is 6G? And we've got a bit of a clearer idea about what will happen here. There's a rhythm to new telecoms tech of about 10 years between different generations. So whatever 6G will be, there are standards bodies expecting a rollout in 2030. Now in 2030, ASEAN will be the 3rd most populous region on the planet, and also the 4th biggest economy. We'll have companies like Indonesia, which just by the countries like Indonesia, which will be in the top 10 just by themselves. And according to Bain Consulting, the next decade in ASEAN will see 40 million people reach working age, with digitalization disrupting the nature and the number of jobs available. About 2/3 of children entering primary school today will end up doing a job that doesn't even exist today. And again, over the next decade, ASEAN will see 140 million new consumers coming online, which represents 16% of the world's total. So there's huge opportunity here, but it's not that simple. 2030 is the year when the UN Sustainable Development Goals are met or not. And that's something which will be vital to ASEAN, because many of the countries most susceptible to sea level rise, water scarcity, heat waves, and food security challenges lie in this region as well. Cybersecurity risks grow in line with digitization, and that means that data management, identity management, and resilience in the face of any problems that do occur become ever more critical. And the Malaysian economy, like every other in the world, is going to face challenges from digitalization and automation. I pillaged this slide from another webinar recently on economics, but you know, the last 60 years have seen an increasing disconnect all around the globe between working and being able to live well. And that's due to the fact that at the same time, high-skilled jobs have grown, but also unskilled labor, with very few roles in between. And if that happens in Malaysia and other parts of ASEAN, that's going to slow the economy further and reduce the overall spending power of the population. So innovation here as well is essential. So the region needs to grow and change, but in ways that reduce climate impact, reduce inequality, and reduce risk. And that's a question of government policy, but also simply survival. It's a question of technology solutions and innovation in all kinds of industries. And along with that, a change in the business models, the economics, and social attitudes to what we do, how we do it, and why. So basically, if life in 2030 is not hugely different from today, we will all be in trouble. So that's 2030. And I mention this because of the mistakes made in 5G. Now, you might remember the hype over the past 4 or 5 years. If not, then you've been probably living in a cave. Essentially, that promised that 5G would solve pretty much every kind of problem like magic, and especially it would deliver vast new capabilities to businesses of all kinds. As you'll see from the slide here, we've got 3 capabilities which are what was promised, and essentially today we've got a 5G out there in the world that's basically fast as 4G. There are 2 broad reasons for this, and I'm about to oversimplify and generalize. So let me preface this by saying that the telecoms industry is filter bursting with people who are absolute geniuses as individuals and really nice. But the industry overall is structured to give some really dumb results, and we're going to get those again if we're not careful. One of the problems is that the telecoms industry and the academics whose research feeds into it tend to be network technology specialists, and they're not commercially oriented, really. In 5G, we didn't actually get other industries meaningfully involved until far too late in the process to define what 5G is or what it should do. And we didn't really tell the story of why people outside telecoms might even want to get involved with defining 5G, even though 5G is meant to be all about enterprise applications. It's, yeah, a little bit frustrating, as I'm sure you'll experience as well. Now that's starting to change, but there's a long way to go yet. And the other issue is that once a basic 5G technology is here, it's only then that the operator's business team get involved figuring out what to do with it and when and how to invest in it. So as an industry, telcos have been brilliant at selling phones and phone calls to enterprises, but almost everything else is relatively new ground. So we're still working out what 5G might be useful for in collaboration with different stakeholders, how the business relationships and the coordination should work, how to make industry solutions that are scalable, flexible, affordable, and above all, easy for enterprise customers. And that's where organizations like my IoTA are so valuable. Now, there are opportunities here. We've already seen that the change that the pandemic has brought to working styles, supply chains, and lifestyles globally. It's accelerated the use of technologies like IoT, machine learning, distributed ledger technologies, and so on. And we can expect trends like these to continue and build into whatever a 6G world turns out to be. And if you're looking ahead a few years, this means that existing skills shortages have been emphasized. There are huge business opportunities opening up for you, and among others in things like cybersecurity, data analysis and interpretation, structuring data to feed AI, or finding ways to streamline and simplify services for small business users. So if you can get a start now, then that means you get some expertise in a year or two and significant expertise in 3 or 4 as the market grows. And looking strategically over the next few years, there are some major global challenges to solve if we really want to deliver a 2030 that works for everyone. Companies that can invest to develop, for example, lower energy options for sensors or materials for companies of all kinds, or ways to keep data flowing between companies while respecting privacy laws in different countries, will have huge opportunities for growth across different regions and sectors. So that's
1 minute to go.
Thank you. This picture shows you what the road to 6G will look like. We've got a couple of years to nail down why 6G should exist, what we'll want it for, and what good it should do. And after that, it's down to technologists and standards bodies to try and find a solution, build global consensus, standards around it, and make it commercial. In other words, if you want a 6G that's relevant to you and your needs, now is the time to shape 2030 and to make your voice heard. 5G will evolve during the coming 10 years into something much better suited for you, but let's not reach 2030 and have to start again. So tell the tech community what dreams you have, what outcomes you want, and then let them work out the technology to get there. There are all kinds of programs going on in the European Union, Japan, Korea, China, the USA, and there are initiatives in basic research there. So you've got government, people and companies that have a unique opportunity to be involved in 6G in a way that you didn't before, talking to standards bodies, talking to the technologists as industry bodies, as groups. It's going to really help from the technologist perspective in developing a 6G that you actually need. And this is going to be an essential ingredient to create the solutions that all of our businesses and societies will depend on. So I've included some links to initiatives and industry bodies that are active in 6G together here. I'd love it if you'd like to read any of 6G World's articles, sign up to our fortnightly newsletter, or even take part in our 2 6G symposium events in 2021, or drop me a line. But please, whatever you do, keep an eye out for 6G, have a think about it, and get involved for all our sakes. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you very much, Alex, for bringing us the future. What are we expecting in the communication in the infrastructure? What is beyond 5G? So now I will happy to get our colleague from Sunway Money, Darren, to share his interesting IoT innovation, how to send your money without seeing the money. Over to you, Darren.
Yeah. Thanks, Sylvain. Okay. Okay, hi everyone. So now still Chinese New Year time, so I wish everyone Gong Xi Fan Cai. And I thank Malaysia IoT Association for giving me a chance to give my presentation here. Okay, so today the topic I want to talk about is a better way to send money. Okay, here is my profile. So I go work in banking industry for 8 years. So also work in remittance industry for 4 years. So total I have 14 years working experience in financial service industry. Currently work at Sunway Money as a consultant business development. Okay. Sunway Money is 100% owned by Sunway Berhad. So Sunway Money is an online remittance company. So we are legal one, got license from Bank Negara Malaysia. Okay, so why choose? Before I talk about my company, let's talk about bank first. Okay, so normally the bank, if you use bank send money overseas, the bank PT is crazy high, and then their service charge is very expensive also. So recipient also unable to receive full amount if they use bank send money overseas. Okay, so why choose Sunway Money is because we are secure. We are owned by Sunway Berhad, so we also are licensed and legal because of license from Bank Negara Malaysia. So we are secure also. And then simple, you just register an account with us, then you can start transfer money online. So the step is very simple. And then come about great value is our rate is better than bank. And then our transaction service charge is 1 ringgit only per transaction. And then if you use Sunway Money, send money overseas, also recipient also can get full amount. Only USD and CNY unable get full amount. Other currency can get full amount. For example, if you send SGD to Singapore or Europe to Europe country, the recipient can get full amount. Okay. So if you use Sunway Money, you can send money to more than 50 countries in the world. So, okay, here is the country you can send by using Sunway Money. You can send to Asia country, Europe, Middle East, North America, Oceanic, and Africa. Okay, here is a case study. So if a company wants to send money, USD 10K to pay overseas supplier, how much customer can save by using Sunway Money? Okay, for example, if you use Sunway Money, send money, our USD rate is 4.11. If you look at the bank side, it's 4.15. mean our rate is better than bank. So if you send USD 10,000 using Sendway money, you only need to pay 41,136 only. So if you use bank to send money, you need to pay them 41,600. That means you use Sendway money, send USD 10,000, you can set 464. Okay, this means, okay, the more you send, the more you save. Okay, the company use Sunway money, send money, USD 50K to pay overseas supplier, customer can send 2,000 plus. This means the more you send, the more you save. Okay, how is work? Here there are 3 simple steps. You just register at sunwaymoney.com. After you register, you need submit some business document to me for account opening. So normally my company take 3 working days to process account opening. After, when your account active, I will inform you. So when your account active, you just make a transaction online and then you make payment to my company. My company take 3 working day process. So, okay, after 3 working days, the money will be directly credited to your recipient bank account. Okay, so when you register account with us already, you perform transaction, you just log into my company website. Here is the dashboard. For example, you want pay to your overseas supplier, you just go beneficiary here, key in their bank account detail. After you key already, you go transaction here, perform transaction, make payment to my company. So every time you perform transaction, my company will provide you a valid transaction receipt. This receipt can prove that you use Sunway money pay to your supplier. Okay, here is the Sunway money logo, my company. Here is the how much you transfer to your supplier. Here is your supplier detail. Okay, the referral I want is a company paying overseas supplier. Okay, here is the coming. So normally customer go bank, send money. Bank is a robber, rob customer money one. Okay, conclusion is don't let bank rob your money. When you want send money overseas, use Sunway money. Okay, here is my presentation. So if you want know more about Sunway money, can contact me by email or my telephone number. Okay, thank you. Back to you, Siwai.
Okay, thank you very much, Darren. Thank you for sharing the next how we can manage our money and then to save in the new in whatever transaction, how to be more get leverage on the technology to spend or to send our money without getting need
more easy and more convenient. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So now for our next speaker, perhaps we can get Mr. Lee, CC, or we well known him with CC Lee from Asian Tech to talk about how the IoT Edge Gateway in the smart manufacturing. For those who are you are in the manufacturing industry, so pay attention to CC. Over to you, CC.
Okay, good morning, CY.
Morning.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Wow, it's a very exciting morning when hearing about this 6G from this Alex all the way from UK, and also very interesting to see this Sunway money, So I heard about this friend talking about Sunway money. I think seems to be rate seems to be good, Yeah. So okay, without further delay, I think my topic today will be this enabling IoT connectivity with this IoT Edge Gateway from Exomtech, especially for those in the smart manufacturing. So one of the key design principle in this IR4 is basically talking about interconnection. There are 4 of them: interconnection, data transparency, decentralization, technical assistance, and so on. So these are the interconnection. That's why we are here today. We are talking about this IoT connectivity. So in the process of this digitalization in this IR4, data collection has becoming very, very important, especially you want to get data for important decision or critical decision. Okay. So, so establish the IoT connectivity in the shop floor or in the production floor has becoming also vital, especially you want to get all these sensors and data on the shop floors to be connected so that you can make a quicker or faster or more accurate decision. Okay, do you have, especially for those SME or MNC, so do you have any challenges in terms of getting data from your shop floors or from your production floors? Or are you having difficulty in getting this thing, getting connected or IoTize your data to the cloud or to any of these edge? So if you have, you know, this following session will be useful to you, I hope. So you can follow me from here. So talking about this IoT Edge Gateway, I would like to share with you some of the activities that we have been running for the past 2 years. In fact, Tech has been also appointed by, invited by this Intel in taking part in providing some trainings in one of the programs organized by MPC and Malaysia Productivity Center and co-organized by this PSDC. So it is called PlugFest 1.0 and PlugFest 2.0. In this activity, in this program, Tech has been taking part in providing some training to especially SME. You know, those people who, those SME who have came to this event, they receive a gateway. That is the gateway that I'm talking about to you about today. So so far we have been running from the past 2 years from Penang, KL, Johor, Sarawak, and one of them is Sabah. We haven't gone there yet since last year because of this COVID pandemic. Yeah. So this is some of the things that we are running. We are teaching on the PlugFest 1.0. We are giving some guide. You know, how your in the manufacturing environment, how are you going to get those data, you know, in hand, and how are you going to publish that onto the web or onto the cloud as well. So on the other side, we have this PlugFest 2.0, which we are having this AI as starter kit. So that part is actually giving you AI kind of experience in terms of you can do object recognition, facial recognition, and so on. But we are targeting more onto the people who want to what you call automate a certain process, especially on the AI part. Yeah, these are the things that we are we have for the past 2 years. So talking about shop floors data acquisition, we have usually we have a machine process or some instrument or sensors like industrial oven, you know, industrial weigher, weighing indicator, industrial compressor, water storage, conveyor, chiller, and so on. Some of them you may have a certain process like extrusion process, or we visited some of the this company with some of the members and partners into some this aluminum extrusion process thing. They do require all this thing, but then they need some tools. These are the tools that I'm talking about. This IoT Edge Gateway. So as in the process, also in the most of the production floor, you may have also controllers, PLC, temperature controllers, power meters for metering, and also the air or flow meters, plus some of the industrial system. These are the things commonly seen in the manufacturing environment. So what is the requirement in terms of how do you IoTize some of this data? You know, some of the requirement, one of the few requirements are, you know, you need the data to be on the cloud, whether or not you want it or do not need it, you know, later on. you may be able to accumulate those data for your analysis or even for your AI later on. Okay, for the decentralized side, you need an edge that able to process your data or make a certain decision or do some pre-calculated do some pre-calculation in your edge so that you are able to speed up certain decision from there, And then also talking about connectivity, one of the most important part is those connectivity where maybe you have some old equipment or some legacy kind of equipment that you need to get them connected. These are the things that these are the requirements that this IoT Edge Gateway is able to give you a solutions. So talking about those, you may have, just now we're talking about some process, temperature data, flow data, and also some of the data from the machines. You are able to use some of the modules that come with the serial communication interface that can be easily connected to, connect to our this IoT Edge Gateway, which allows you to do some pre-calculation and also push that to the cloud at the same time also saving into the database. Okay, so from the left hand side you can see we have this temperature point, and we have this RPM input modules where you need to calculate the revolutions and how the speed and things like that. Yeah. So on the controller side, normally you have these temperature controllers, or you may have these power meters, and also the flow meters and PLCs. So how can you tap onto these data? By putting in the IoT Edge Gateway, you are able to use certain modules. For example, in the flow meter, we have this module called HUD. This HUD is actually talking a spatial protocol running on top of this 4 to 20 milliamp bus. So you are able to get those accurate data, from the flow meter directly. At the same time, for those controllers and meters, these are quite common. You run on the Modbus RTU and Modbus TCP and so on. These are the things that able to be got connected, and then it can be pushed to the data or saving into the database. Okay, why do we need all this? In fact, if you talk about in the manufacturing process, this will be the overall integration, how you can be those the data can be integrated, especially for those people who want to use on the hybrid mode, whereby they have a central server. At the same time, also they want to publish the data to the cloud. For example, for this system, we have two basic
companies like Indonesia, which
able to give you people. Of course, one of them the hybrid mode. At one on the right hand side, you are able to have that headless, without any user interface. But on the central one, you can see, that something that can link to this tower light, So you are able to have some interaction with the operator in terms of getting those data. Now, these are the two main categories that we are able to provide.
60 minutes to go.
Thank you. So in general, in the smart manufacturing general architecture, you can see from here, you will need the on the SAP, on the ERP, that part you need certain data reporting and this escalation task to be performed. So where does this decision coming from? So of course, it has to keep coming from the shop floors. That's why this IoT connectivity in the shop floors is very important. Okay, so on the SCADA or MES, the manufacturing execution system side, and you will probably have you can see here on the central side, you have a local servers that allows you to do some data representation of this the overall data for the whole process in your manufacturing environment. So from the left hand side here, you can see some of these things is capturing the vibration data, and then that is partly most hot topic right now is you want to use that data for predictive maintenance. Okay, so of course we have a certain thing that linking to the weigher that you are able also linking to some of the PLC as well. These are the things that we are able to give you, so that to achieve some of the requirement needed in this IoT part. So coming to some of the main products that we ExonTech have. Right now, we have this whole series of gateway from a small, medium, and high end. So all these, we call it AMS, IoT Edge Gateway, that allows you to do MQTT, MQP, REST API kind of interface. And the bottom level side is able to give you those Modbus, LoRaWAN kind of connectivity. Okay. I believe some of these members also providing some LoRa sensors, things like that. That can be connected to our edge gateway. Okay. On the other side, we have another category called a higher end model that allows you to do interface to all kind of PLC. For example, you have a Schneider, Omron, GE, Mitsubishi, Panasonic. Those kind of different PLC is able to be connected very easily by just a simple configuration. And on top of that, if you want to publish the data to OPC UA, as you know, IoT connectivity, you cannot run away from this OPC UA, OPC DA, and so on. So you are able to give this data out, very easily with these simple configurations. Okay. So I won't go into so much into the technicality about this specification about all these gateways. I will be able to share with you if you have any question later on. So basically, you can see we have two. One of them is a headless. The other one is with HMI. We call it IoT Edge HMI. Okay. So just a very quick introduction about ExonTech. Founded in 1990s, ExonTech is one of the world design manufacturing company specializing in industrial computing. Okay, we're specializing in areas like automation, transportation, smart retail, gaming, cybersecurity, OEM and ODM. And where OEM and ODM, we are providing those custom-made systems for special applications. Okay. So we are also an Intel IoT Alliance partners where we work very closely with Intel, especially on the IoT and AI side, in this giving solution to the market in terms of this in the area of Industrial 4.0. Okay, we are also a ISO standard manufacturing company, which operating globally from US, Europe, China, Japan, as well as Thailand and Malaysia. So these are some of the market segments that we are targeting. And then we are actually in Malaysia, we are acting as one. We are working very closely with system integrators. We are working very closely with machine makers, R&D Institute, and project house. These are the things that we are working with them in the different projects, in the different segments. Okay, so these are the links that if you find this interesting, so if you want to get us get connected to us, you can follow some of this link. We have this YouTube, Facebook, and also the Telegram channel that we provide some of the technical know-how, and we share some of the how in terms of different system integration and so on. So let me have 2 minutes to share you some of the video before I end. So maybe then you can come to Q&A if, let's say, you have any. Okay. I'll just share with you this video before I end. Thank you.
With the industrial Internet of Things, manufacturing worldwide is on the cusp of a revolution. Through the use of industrial IoT technologies and big data analytics, manufacturing is getting smart and connected. Manufacturers enable to cut operating costs, improve product quality, maximize plant throughput, and pick up on inefficiencies and issues sooner. It also improves logistics management and speeds up inventory control. The industrial IoT is empowering new capabilities in manufacturing, from the supply chain to the factory floor to the logistics. Nowadays, industrial-grade embedded systems have been in great demand to help support expandability in smart manufacturing, while saving manufacturers both time and money. Over 25 years of innovation, Axiom Tech can support you in your smart manufacturing initiatives. Our industrial PCs, embedded box PCs, all-in-one touch panel PCs, DIN rail embedded controllers, and industrial IoT gateway devices are designed to meet the challenging requirements of the future manufacturing. They are crafted to ensure consistent and reliable performance, high software compatibility, flexible configurations, and fast deployment. Together with our extensive industry and application know-how, we can help you bring your factory to the future. The next industrial revolution is here, and we are ready. Axiom Tech, innovation in manufacturing.
Okay, thank you very much. Siwai, I hope I don't take so much. I have taken some of the extra time.
Yeah. No worry. I think the beauty of the webinar virtually, basically, I think if we overshoot the time, I hope the audience still can stay tuned with us. But time check now is 10:42. We didn't overrun the time too far, but we will try to catch up the time that we have left behind. Now, without further ado, perhaps I invite Create IoT, Mr. Bama, the Chief IoT Enabler, okay, to talk about how the IoT is being helped to transform the postal services during the COVID-19, which is very close to us now at this juncture. So over to you, Bama.
Okay, can I get the screen share? Doctor, can I get a screen share? Okay, thank you. All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Cecily, for the introduction of IoT 4.0 and tools that Axiom Tech have to enable IoT 4.0 in industries. And personally, I have used their tools and I used their IoT gateways for some of the projects that we deployed. And it works very well, and it does speed up our processes. Now, today I'm going to talk about how Create IoT delivered IoT ecosystem for National Postal Service. And this is during a pandemic where we have border closed down and everything. And my name is Mu Padma, and I'll be representing my company called Create IoT. So the word "8" is supposed to be called as Create. Okay, so people have a little issue of pronouncing the name correctly. So it's Create IoT. It's established in 2017 by me, one of the co-founder. We focus on IoT ecosystem development. Then it's backed by another operation of mine since 2004, a company called Promosys Technology, where we do sensor design and manufacturing. At Create IoT, we focus on 4 verticals: smart city, water, wastewater, and smart facility. But we do welcome ecosystem development from other segments of verticals. We don't limit ourselves to this one, but our primary focus on this one. So some of our track records, as of now, we have about total 34 engineers and developers. We operate in 3 countries, Singapore, Malaysia, and Bangalore, India. We have 5 active ecosystems that we manage. So we develop for our client, and also we continue to manage the ecosystem for them. We have thus far developed, deployed 42 plus POCs. So things that I call POC is that customer wanted to test 10 unit, 20 unit, 100 units. So they go on POC category. They don't go on a full-fledged deployment, maintenance, or evolution. And as of now, we crossed around 86,000 IoT sensors installed in various countries around Asia. Now, when we talk about IoT ecosystem development, a lot of people ask me what we do. So at IoT, we focus on clients' needs. We understand their needs. We go for the selection of the right IoT sensor, the best connectivity wherever they are. Like if you're if your project needs a nationwide deployment, definitely you can't use Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. We know that Singapore can't use 3G, Malaysia can use 4G, 3G, 2G. This kind of limitations. We know what technology connectivity can be used, where can be used. And also we handle the security element of the data that has been collected from the IoT sensor, qualify the IoT sensor for security element, the data transported to the cloud server. Now, once the data reach the cloud server, we do have an in-house software team to develop a customized dashboard as per client needs. If they don't have a software development team, if they have a software development team, we can provide the API and SDK from the devices, which the client can use and develop their application. So certain clients have a IoT platform, they want to integrate certain sensors only. For example, like a metering section, they already have a billing and meter management, asset management software. They just want data from the meters. So we provide the SDKs, okay? So we also integrate our platform, our data to third-party readily available platforms. Like in Malaysia, we have this platform called Favorite. So we qualified our sensors to link to the Favorite platform. In overseas, we have this Tago.io and so many hundreds of platforms that we can feed the data. Also, we can extract the data back to the IoT sensor. So the client can continue to use that particular platform. So this is what we provide to our client as a service. And this is what I meant by ecosystem development. Now, come back to our problem statement for this particular customer. They are a national postal service provider. Their biggest problem is they're unable to detect which post box is full and need immediate clearance. They need mobile application to notify post box collectors. Need some method to lock the postal aperture when box is full. Of course, post box don't have power source, so we don't have any 240 power supply coming in. And I need a platform to consolidate data and to understand the box usage over time. So this is the provider side, and this is the customer side. So they don't know which post box is full, and need some visual indicator to indicate the post box. So they don't want to park the car and come and realize it's full. No, they want some visual indicators. They also need some method to know which is the next available postal box, which they can provide post their letters. Okay. So the whole process started in 2019, where the customer request for RFQ, and then they shortlisted a vendor, and we were selected as one of the POC developer. And in November 2019, we were like 4 companies were allowed to do a POC. So it was a paid POC. So IoT, we don't do free POC, we do paid POC. So it's a paid POC for few units. So we did that. And then a large volume tender was deployed. And then tender was awarded to us. And then July 2020, we start deployment. November, we start UAT. And around January 2021, we done the deployment. Now, I'm going to speed up a bit because I want to catch up the time. So the customer awarded the project to IoT Singapore, and then IoT Singapore got the stainless steel fabrication company to make the boxes in Singapore itself. So the mobile apps was developed by IoT branch in India. The cloud application the cloud application was done in Malaysia. Project management and funding was done by IoT Malaysia. The IoT sensor was developed by Promosys Technology. System integration was done in Singapore. And installation, the actual physical installation of the boxes was done by an installation vendor in Singapore. So by now, I think you guys know that the National Postal Service is not Post Malaysia, it's a Singapore Postal Service. Now, this was laughing at us. Okay, we got the tender and this was laughing at us. And we were like, okay, we don't know what to do. We just got awarded and border was closed. The whole deja vu was there. So this was the biggest challenge. Last year was the biggest challenge. Being a national tender, a government tender, you can't simply surrender it. You have a lot of legal binding on it. You have late delivery charges and all that. And normally, typically, when in a typical situation, this kind of projects, we will have our engineers flying from Bangalore to Singapore to understand the needs, or myself will be going to Singapore a lot to understand the needs and everything. Now, that couldn't be done because border was locked. And the other problem was work from home. A lot of my India staff, Malaysia staff, even the Singapore staff, have to sit at home and develop a solution. So we did manage to pull this out, and today I'm going to just share a bit on the tools that we have used to develop this ecosystem. So we use a tool called Britix, where it's a CRM, task management, project management kind of a tool, where we assign all the projects, all the works to the staff, so they can work from home and they can collaborate, they can work each other, they can share files in a secure manner. Okay, we use a lot of tools from Artisan, Jira support system, Confluence, and so forth. For structural design, mechanical design, we use Autodesk Fusion 36, where the design works was conceived mechanical design. For schematic PCBs, we use Autodesk Eagle. It's also all cloud-based solutions. And Confluence was the biggest assistant biggest tool we use to make sure all the data, concepts, and design was properly done. Of course, all the other platform deployment was done in Amazon. The whole Amazon suite was used. These are major Amazon suite we used. And not the least, we use Zoom a lot. And also we use WhatsApp a lot. I think most of the people in Malaysia or in all the part, these two tools become their most critical tools during a pandemic. And this tool was used by us, our team, to ensure the collaboration was done in a timely manner. Now, these are the electronic boards that we developed by Promosis Technology. So I just took a snapshot of the photo of the board. So this board was designed and developed in Klang. Okay, we based in Subang, and the postal box is based in Singapore. So my guys have to kind of do a test beds, the switches, lights, and everything to emulate the actual sensors installed in the box to detect the open or door close kind of things. And this electronic board was designed by my team while working from home. Of course, to actually populate the components and to test the board functionality, they have to come to the office to do this. This board supports NB-IoT and also 4G connectivity. So this was used. The firmware was developed with this test fixtures, so that it can be installed in the actual equipment and tested there. And we do have a remote firmware update. So whenever some changes or some bug was found, firmware can be released and updated over the air to all the boxes that have been deployed. So this software was developed in Subang office. So this is a staging server. So we only show about 5 boxes. I can't show the full final application because it's under NDA. So I can just show the staging server. It's kind of information I can share. I can't go much detail about the benefits and pro and cons of using this postal service IoT solution. Okay. So these are the boxes. So if you happen to be in Singapore, you will see this box. So these are the outdoor boxes where we have solar power capability. These are the stainless steel boxes that we designed, was designed and manufactured in Singapore and deployed in Singapore. So till today, my friends, I haven't touched it. I haven't taken photos standing beside it, which normally I do, for all my projects. I couldn't do that. I couldn't even touch this box yet. I'm only seeing video and photos on it. So we have 2 types of boxes, one solar and non-solar. The non-solar one will be in a shaded area. So solar one will be out under the sun. So we have 3G and NB-IoT for that. So these lights that you see there will blink when the boxes are full, so that the customer don't need to walk there and to discharge their lights or whatever. Okay. So key point that we learned, okay, on this is that yes, it is possible to design, develop, deliver IoT ecosystem which involve mobile apps, cloud application, hardware, sensor development, mass deployment. Yes, it is possible during COVID pandemic because it is proven by us. But totally, we need a new model of thinking, new model of approach A lot of tools are available in the market now. Like I showed you some of the tools that we used. And please, I did make the silly mistakes. I tried to use open source and other free versions of the tools or whatever. Don't do that, because what happened is there is huge limitation, and it degrades you. It doesn't help you. Okay, work from home, not so effective. This is my view for a company like myself. Okay, work from home is not so effective because we have equipments, oscilloscope, power supply, load machine. We have equipments. We have hardware works, so it's not so effective. But certain element can be done, not all the element. So we still need a physical presence to the office. We do staff rationing. I mean, all the staff doesn't come to the office at the same time. So some staff comes. We have reduced working hours, the kind of things. But yes, effectiveness is not there, but it's still needed. And in a way, it's a lower cost. It's a surprise to me. It's a lower cost because mainly I think Asia and MAS, I don't have to pay them any ticket money. I don't have to pay Booking.com for any hotels. So that was a much lower cost comparable. So of course, this lower cost is translated to the paid tools that we need to use, to the extra hours we need to put into staff that working from home. So in a way, it's lower cost in paper, but in particular project deployment, it is not lower cost. Okay, so hope you learned something new, and thank you. I think I've given some few more minutes for the next speaker to continue.
Thank you very much, Padma, for your for us to learn how you deploy at the across the board, across the Malaysia shore. Okay, without further ado, perhaps we invite our last but not the least speaker from far from Hong Kong, POG Group, David, COE Asia Pacific. Over to you, David.
Oh, lovely. Thank you very much. I'll just share my screen with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll need to stop. Okay, over to your screen.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. I think I'm sharing now. So yes, thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be invited to discuss IoT in Malaysia and take part in the valuable discussion around IoT adoption. And I wanted to bring to the discussion a little bit more about the eSIM and the EUICC. I think there's been a lot of hype about the eSIM in recent years, but at the same time, its adoption hasn't been living up to the hype. And I want to explore a few things around that. So just to give you a brief introduction to Pod Group, I'm based in Hong Kong, and we've been operating in Asia now for 4 years. So we started off 20 years ago in the UK and gradually moved out from there to Europe, to the US, South America, and finally over to Asia Pacific region. This, as I said, about 4 years ago here in Hong Kong. We've got an office here and we've got a small but efficient team. We always started providing an alternative to mobile networks, and the vision for coming to Asia was exactly that. The mobile networks in Asia are predominant. IoT applications tend to go to these networks straight away, and we wanted to bring our global MVNO experience over to Asia. And since then, we have moved from being an MVNO to an ENO, which is an enterprise network operator. We provide a full stack of solutions and aim to help IoT developers get to market as quickly as possible. So we developed our EUICC solution over the last couple of years, and it's now been released for about 2 years and in active production with quite a few customers now for the last year. It's fully integrated into our IoT, into our connectivity platform, and we're seeing quite a good range of use cases being used by it already. So I think the first point to address is that there's also quite a lot of confusion as to whether the eSIM is built into the device, whether it's an embedded chip or whether it's actually just a normal SIM card. And I mean, it could be anything really. The embedded SIM obviously gets soldered onto the module, but also most of the eSIMs that we provide are actually just exactly the same as normal SIMs, apart from obviously the digitalization of the profiles and the connection to the remote provisioning platform. So if your device holds if your device can hold a SIM card, then you can also hold an eSIM. Whether it works all the time, whether the device is capable of handling the eSIM is another question, which we'll address shortly. So the whole point of the eSIM was to standardize across the ecosystem a way to remotely download profiles and new network services onto the device. And we saw this in the past with applications that use multi-IMSI, so using different network profiles on the same SIM card. But the eSIM came about because it needed to be standardized. It needs to be standardized across the board and provide a joint ecosystem that you can take different network profiles and download them technically from whoever provides the profile. The standardization was done by the GSMA, and the compatibility of profiles between different mobile networks, for example, a mobile network in the USA and a mobile network in Malaysia should be exactly the same, all on the RSP platform to download and use as necessary. It puts a large emphasis on over-the-air communication. So normally on the eSIM, you'll have a bootstrap. On that bootstrap, it will allow you to connect around the world. And that will allow you, when your device goes to a country, to download a profile and then start using that profile to connect in that country according to the commercial specifications of the mobile network that's providing the profile. It's extremely good for future-proofing, obviously, because if you want to change the profile, technically you can change the profile whenever you wish. And you can download a new profile from any mobile operator, and that way you can connect your device according to the commercial conditions of that operator and swap them out at any particular time. The problem with this is that whilst the EUICC has been used quite a lot in recent years and has been touted as the future in IoT, seeing a huge amount of compatible devices released on verify service, which is we take the device in and we test all the features of the EUICC to make sure that the device is actually future-proofed when deployed in the field, that it will be able to receive profiles, it will be able to swap the profile, and you'll be able to switch network services. Then you move on to, so that's more of a kind of IoT customer problem because of the compatibility, and we can help as much as we can with that, but the device does need to be compatible to switch network services when you need to. The other side is global coverage. Now, technically on the RSP platform, you should be able to provision multiple different, effectively digital SIM cards, profiles to download to your device whenever you wish. Now, big barrier to this is that still, even though technically all network profiles should be we should be able to put them on any RSP platform, the mobile networks and other players aren't willingly giving them out. This is still quite a large cost for them involved. So even though, for example, in Malaysia, 2 of the 3 networks are providing profiles, it's likely not to be on a universal system at the moment, be on their own system. So you would still have to take the EUICC card from them to use their profile. And there's not a lot of ability to swap them out if you want to, which does kind of defeat the object of the EUICC. It's technically a global ecosystem, but it's still very splintered. Now, within that, it creates a problem for resilience, as I just said. So if you're taking the EUICC from the mobile network, you're going to have to download the profile from the mobile network and use the profile from the mobile network. And it's going to be quite difficult then for you to download somebody else's profile onto that SIM card. And the RSP platform needs to be it needs to the profiles need to be able to be movable across the RSP platforms. And now there are a number of RSP platforms available, but different operators using different RSP platforms. So there's not one global RSP platform to download any profile that you wish. So on our side, what Pod has done is as I said, we implemented the Pod Verify service, but also we put a lot of concentration, as we've always worked with IMSIs rather than network SIM cards, we've been, I call it, profilizing these profiles, profilizing these IMSIs. So we've taken our global IMSIs, we made them into profiles, we've loaded them on our RSP, which allows then our customers to switch and swap between these profiles from our IoT Suite platform. We've also implemented a multi-IMSI applet on the EUICC itself. And there's a bit of a myth around the EUICC that you can move between countries and download a profile as you go. It's a little bit more difficult than that because the profiles are quite big, so it's not as instant. But what we've done, we've implemented in the Pod profile a multi-IMSI system. So we can swap between IMSIs within a profile. So it's a multi-IMSI for resilience, linked in with the profile, so you can swap between IMSIs without having to download a new profile. But if you want to download a new profile, that is also possible. What we're doing as well is, as we are an E&O, we are aggregating these profiles. So we are going to the operators, we are negotiating with them to get access to their profiles, to put them on our neutral RSP, our agnostic RSP platform, so then our customers can choose which profile they want to use. So when it comes to the multi-IMSI applet, this is built for resilience because the EUICC is not meant for resilience. It's not meant to automatically swap between profiles to maintain a connection. You can download a new one based on the always-on bootstrap, but if you want instant connectivity change, we've implemented multi-IMSI on that. So one of our case studies is iDrive. It's one of our customers that's based in the US and Europe, and they are basically, instead of using multiple SIMs around the world, we are shipping them EUICC that get inserted upon manufacture. Then they ship to various different continents like Africa, South America, North America, and at that point they can download the profile relevant to that region without having to do too much. It's basically making the factory more efficient. So when they get to they input the bootstrap EUICC in the factory, they ship across to North America, and they'll download the relevant profile, which is best for North America. If that device then subsequently goes to Asia, they will download the Asia profile that we use out of Hong Kong, and then they'll have access to roaming across Asia. A bit more about what I was saying here. Yeah, and that's me. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David, for your session, what you have shared with us. And then thank you to all our distinguished speakers for today's webinar. Okay, after we have heard every each of you shared about your innovation, perhaps now we can go to start our Q&A, pick up some questions from the Facebook Live. And then and to all the participants, to all the listeners at the viewer at the Facebook, you still can continue to submit your questions, and then we shall pick it up. If we can't take all the questions, we will take it offline to correspond or to link you up with the respective speaker accordingly. Okay, perhaps we start with Alex, from what you have shared about the 6G. In contrast, which is the future of the infrastructure. Perhaps why should we care about 6G now? Okay, perhaps and then is 5G enough for us for the future? Alex?
Yeah, that's a good question. So hopefully the answer is for companies that are looking to plan to the medium to long term, then being aware that there is another generation in planning and being able to start talking to industry bodies, both within their own industries, such as my IOTA, or for example, if you're in automotive with the 5GAA, the 5G Automotive Association, then you can start to really work to specify whatever it is that you actually want the future to hold. As it is, we've seen, for example, I'm sure David would say, for example, if we got 5G organized better in terms of the business side of things as well as the technology, then that could take a great deal of pressure off Pod Group and potentially enable some more simple solutions to be offered that really improve the performance there. That'll come in time with 5G, but why wait that long? It's far better to get all your ducks in a row in advance so that it's just ready to come at commercial launch.
Sure. Okay. Noted on the advancement of the communication. Perhaps we will need to see or start to communicate to the industry to go beyond what is being known now, and then to start to explore what are, and then because currently all the industry basically is very reactive to what, I mean, when the technologies come, we only start to see how we can embrace or how we can adopt. But if let's say we promote the 6G ideation to the industry, then perhaps they can see, okay, if currently if my infrastructure is at 5G, would that be able for me to leapfrog to the 6G without much of a lot of like reconfiguration or readjustment needed? Okay, thank you for that. Perhaps now we go to Sunway Money, Darren. Okay, e-transfer or e-money transfer, which is currently, I mean, personally, pretty much I'm not so, I myself pretty much is not that kind of advocate to the e-money transfer. How, I think that I believe there's also a lot of people on the street like myself, that how can I be assured the money that transfer through the remittance on the digital platform is safe?
Oh, okay. So most important, you must know the company is legal. For example, okay, you can go to the Bank Negara Malaysia to ensure this company already got license on their website. So don't use the underground. If you use underground send money, your money is not guaranteed one.
Sure. That is always like money, because it's a hard-earned kind of money. Then people will say, okay, if I transfer out, especially to transfer to your family member who are overseas, especially the student, then they are wondering when the money is being transferred, and then whether where receive the right person receive the amount that you transfer. Okay, so legitimacy, then the fallback to the Bank Negara will be our reference point. Now, perhaps Sisi, perhaps you can talk about the smart manufacturing, how the hearing what Alex has talked about, would you see the 6G being feasible or viable for the smart manufacturing space?
Yeah, I think the problem is the 5G. We haven't seen the 5G yet, you know. And I have my this new iPhone 12, you know, with the 5G, but I hardly get any 5G right now.
Don't worry, this year you will get it. I promise I can say.
You have my digital blueprint is out yet last Friday. We cross our finger that Malaysia will be up and running for 5G soon.
Yeah, that is the question. But I think it's always it's good to stay positive. I think it's achievable. You know, the good thing is coming. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Since Alex has been, you know, starting from now only, they already, you know, pushing up this. I think that would be a good thing to look at.
Perhaps how later you can reconfigure or reorientate your IoT edge gateway to benefit from the 6G infrastructure, which hopefully can come after. That is the next in line for the communication infrastructure. Okay, perhaps Padma, how you see on that 5, what we CC have talked about, Darren had talked about the monetary, and Alex talked about the 6G in your space.
Well, if you know, I'm on IoT space, so I do not technically need high-speed bandwidth. I don't need 1 GB data to be downloaded into my sensor, and there's no my sensor data are very small. So I do not need 5G per se on the speed and connectivity, speed of the connectivity. But the last development in GSMA, where they are tagging the IoT, the low data bandwidth, onto the 5G portfolio, is like enabling Cat M1, and that might, yes, help company like us to deploy IoT solutions. Now, in the segment of IR 4.0, where you need to transfer large amount of data from a cluster area, yes, 5G will help. 6G, like what Alex told, is in the future, we need to start working on it. We need to start think about it, but yeah, let us get the 5G off the ground first. And like what Dr. Young said, our government just announced quite an ambitious plan to deploy nationwide 5G in 2 years' time, which people in telcos will know that it's a bit hard, but we see how it goes.
Sure, thank you. Thank you for to let us to see how the synchronization or the collaboration between the multiple kind of experts between ourselves. Again, perhaps the last question I pose it to David. David, your eSIM. Basically, I think I'm not so sure. I mean, I myself, I still haven't seen the adoption, or the rollout of the eSIM among the Malaysia telco. So how will you see how Malaysia can pick up the eSIM and then go? Is that a very feasible? I mean, that shouldn't be the question. I think if I ask you whether eSIM is feasible, definitely you will respond to me. eSIM definitely is feasible. But the thing is, like, what are the barrier? What are the things that Malaysia need to take into consideration if really eSIM is the way to go for Malaysia in terms of our digital transformation?
Yes, first I just wanted to just go on to just mention something about the 5G and 6G topic, as obviously Alex started, and I think it's quite good to start the conversation now about 6G, because as soon as you have something in place, then suddenly you start getting queries about the next possible technology up to 7G, 8G, and everything like that. And I think at the moment the big barrier that we've seen is that people want to start using 5G. It's like a lot of the hype around CAT-M, NB-IoT. People come, they want to use CAT-M around the world, they want 5G around the world, but it's not standardized around the world. But 5G is very interesting from the network slicing point of view, and be able to carve off parts of the network and use it for different use cases. We do something similar with private LTE. We haven't got widespread adoption of 5G at the moment, I think only in Canada. But it's definitely useful we will probably start getting queries about 6G soon. So it's good to have a heads up really about what's next. Now, when it comes to the EUICC in Malaysia, I think mobile networks are still quite worried about losing their stickiness, as it were, because in IoT, you put a SIM card out, it can be out for 10 years, and that's 10 years of guaranteed revenue. The EUC destroys that theory, because if you're deploying a SIM that can be swapped out remotely at any single point of time, you can download a new profile from another network, then you're losing that stickiness, you're losing that 10 years guaranteed revenue. So I think mobile operators at the moment haven't quite worked out how they're going to keep that over a long period of time. And that's why they're not doing a lot of interoperability around, providing an eSIM, which could use, for example, Digi or Celcom or the different networks there, because at the end of the day, people could swap them out instantly. I think that's the barrier at the moment, is because also in Malaysia, for example, the mobile networks are extremely competitive. The pricing is very good, and to really deploy in huge volumes, you do need to have that local network agreement, and so they are not kind of willing to give out a profile at the moment. Also because there's a cost barrier as well. Integrating different profiles and different RSPs is still quite high. But we're looking forward to the moment where we can have access to more native profiles from places like Malaysia and Singapore, because it will help our customers. Our customers are asking for these. It's just very difficult to get them at the moment. That's why we use global roaming at the moment, which is competitive, but obviously it's not going to be as cheap as the native solution. It has its other benefits, but if cost is the main driver, then it's going to be more expensive.
Sure. Thank you for sharing your share of thought on the 6G and also the eSIM. Perhaps the last question that we received from the live from the Facebook, basically perhaps is open to all the panelists, for all the speakers. We think we have heard a lot about people when people talk about technology because of the emerging of the big data. But I think that also there is an emerging trend, which is a lot of people deal with the small data. Okay, so how this phenomena, the small data phenomena, I mean, how relevant like the 6G, the eSIM, or the IoT, the edge computing, can play a part in this? Instead of talk about the big data, now how about the small data? Okay, like just now, Padma, you have talked about you don't need a 6G because your data is small. But how, I mean, perhaps this go back to Alex, how can you address, or is that really 6G needed in people is looking no longer, I mean, big data is still there, but the thing is like, it's not a big volume, but people more inclined to a small data that in the transaction. So if that's the case, why 6G needed? I believe like when 6G comes, basically it's a bigger kind of bandwidth, bigger kind of a pipe, and the speed is there. But if let's say small data is the new phenomena in the industry, so how the 6G come about? Is that needed? And if let's say the small data phenomena is really come to the shore, Alex?
Yeah, sure. It's a really good conversation, and is that going to be a 6G thing? I don't know, but I think there is a movement towards this at the moment, and I'm hearing this from a few different industries and so on. I think what we're likely to find is that as edge computing takes off, then there's a real pressure to be able to use that to conduct a lot of AI and data analysis at the edge, so that you're not transmitting huge amounts of information over the net. That's good for keeping the networks unpopulated, and it's also cheaper for the end users, because it's like sending a letter. If you're not sending it as far, it doesn't cost as much. So the trick will be to be pulling the information together, doing analysis using machine learning or AI at the edge there to filter out the rubbish, and then taking that small data, the stuff that's really useful and important, and then using that to go forward. I think that's the overall the demand that we're hearing about in the people that we're talking to, and it's just really a question of how that gets integrated over the next few years, so that you can get, for example, the kind of enterprise processes on the edge servers and so on, along with what the telco networks themselves need to do processing there, so that it's all coordinated. But I think that's going to be happening over the coming decade, and should be very exciting when that happens. And it really opens up that kind of opportunity for AI and processing to go all the way down to, for example, a little mom and pop shop, and make very cheap data management and processing and AI available to them. The challenge there will just be, again, around the business models and the processing and how they get served.
Okay, noted. If that's the case, perhaps I go to CC, since like what Alex have shared, have commented on the small data in the space of the 6G. Seems the edge computing is pretty much play a wider role in the small data. What is your comments on this? CC?
Yeah, I think as far as we have some customers who are deploying this AI, especially on the traffic junction. So from what I see, currently, actually 5G, they don't need 5G at this moment, probably because those things are processed locally. You know, if you're talking about 5G or 6G, probably it would be beneficial when we are talking about, especially on the AI, high volume, high bandwidth data needed. That I think will be very useful. As for IoT in manufacturing side, I don't think any very high speed thing that we require, because we are talking about like what Pat was saying. At that level, we are talking about low powered kind of transmission, you know, not even much smaller data that we are talking about. So I don't know whether I'm answering the question, but anyway, that is what my thought.
Okay, I think now is time check is 3 minutes to 10:30. I think we really perhaps to the last to wrap up this session. Perhaps I would like to have each speaker to give a departing remarks before I let you guys go, and perhaps and then also the key message you would like to get across. Let us start with perhaps Darren. What would you like to tell the audience in your departing remarks in a minute? Darren?
Talking about today the presentation.
Yeah. About what you want. I mean, what is your last message to the audience about the smart money that you have shared?
Oh, okay. So I will encourage the audience to use Sunday money. Yeah, because rate better than bank and cheaper service. And then we also can perform transaction online. Save your time and also money. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, thank you, Darren. Perhaps go to Alex before I let you back to get your session, your day up. So what is your departing remarks for our participants today? Alex?
Yeah, my key thought, I think, is we've got a unique opportunity here for enterprises of all kinds to start getting involved with the creation of this new generation of technology, whether you call it, ultra fast broadband, or bringing in things like this Internet of Senses or other things. You've all got the opportunity to shape this now over the next few years by talking to, for example, my IOTA or other industry bodies and pushing your requirements forward. And I think that's something pretty new and exciting. So all I'd say is make sure that you do keep it in mind, try and get involved, and take advantage of the opportunities that are coming through.
Sure. Noted on that. Thank you very much. Perhaps before we go back to Malaysia, perhaps we start with the next one. Perhaps can we get David to have your key message to get across to the audience? David?
Yes. I think on the connectivity side, it still seems that whether it's 5G, 6G, low bandwidth CAT-M, NB-IoT, and eSIM, that everything's still quite splintered across the board. That's a major barrier for adoption worldwide, especially in massive developing IoT markets such as Malaysia and Southeast Asia. So I think with that, from service providers such as ourselves, we just need to put the emphasis on flexibility and providing as many services as possible to cover all possible use cases. And thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you for your remarks. Perhaps, Cici, would you like to take what is your key message that short message to the audience?
About this let's go back to my topic again on the smart manufacturing. I think we are having a lot of this what we call the SME, who is still very hesitant, or don't know how to move forward and things like that. Probably there will be they have to start with some tools, in order to start up with. Then only they try to start to realize, what are the things that they can improve more from there. I think that is the main thing that I think the local SME that have to start off with. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Perhaps, Batman, you have the honor to give your key message across to the audience.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Doctor. My short one will be that we don't know whether the COVID-19 will be it's a 2021 session or not, but we have lost 2 months in Malaysia, and we do think, and I personally do think COVID will be here until mid of Q2 or Q3 this year. So things will be different, and I just proven to you guys that business and life still can continue. Stay strong and stay safe.
Thank you. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, this did that wrap up our today's session. On behalf of Malaysia IoT Association, thank you for all for making times and in your busy schedule to join us here today. Wish you all the have a pleasant day ahead, and stay safe, stay well. Not to forget to stay tuned for our next upcoming session in next month. So see you all again in our next session. Thank you very much.